So good morning, everybody. The Snowy Valley Region Citizenship Celebration will begin. Thank you very much to the Rotary Club of Tumut and the Coffee Peddler for providing our breakfast this morning. A good old Aussie bacon and egg sandwich and a nice coffee, so thank you to those guys. Also like to thank Marty Pennell and Zoe Mackay for playing some music for us this morning, and I'll give you a little bit of info about them later, but thank you very much for our music to keep us all entertained this morning. I'd like to welcome our official party, Deputy Mayor Trina Thompson, Councillor Hansi Armour, Councillor Mick Ivor, Councillor John Larder, the Honourable Mick Veach, MLC, the Honourable Wes Fang, MLC, and we've received a few apologies from Dr Joe McGurr MP, Justin Clancy MP, Christy McBain MP, Michael McCormack MP, Steph Cook MP. So in true Australian way, if you're not here, yeah, nah, yeah, okay, they're not here. They miss out. Now, the official welcome to country is very important to have somebody here today that represents everything Australian. So I would like to call Wiradjuri Elder Auntie Sue Bolger to perform an official welcome to country.
Thank you, Michelle. Marang Narang, good morning. Yena Galang Bu, Gabir Bang Bu. Ladies and gentlemen. Goen Banadu, Ninyal Gear, Ninagu Noyagoya Milangu. I welcome you all to this beautiful place that is my home, Wiradjuri Nurrumbung, Wiradjuri country. Yinjamaradu, Mujikalangabu, Balagibangu, Nana, Nuni Wananga Nijilbu, Wirrambil Nijilbu, Nurrumbungu. I pay my respects to elders past and present who gave their knowledge and cared for this land. Yaboin Yanigingu Bala Wiradjuri Geerlang. Our language is our Wiradjuri identity. Bala Nindugir Mugawabangbu Modai Bu Yandu Yamagi Nianiginjadurebu Yinjamala Yambawan. May you walk with us in peace and harmony and respect everything. We are part of a long, continuous history of the land upon which we walk today. Our people have a spiritual connection to this land, as well as adapting to many changes over the centuries. And if you were born in this land, you also have a spiritual connection to this land. And for those who are now becoming Australian citizens, I hope that you will have that same spiritual connection to the land upon which we walk, work and play. I thank elders past for bringing us to this century, and our present elders who continue the traditions of the oldest living culture on the planet. They continually passed on sacred knowledge to our community. I look forward to the emerging elders in our communities who will keep and extend that connection to country. With our connection to land and our language comes our identity and our sense of belonging. May you walk with us in peace and harmony and respect everything. I'd like to leave you with 3 R's today, not the 3 R's I learned when I was at school, which was reading, writing, arithmetic, and only one of them started with R. So, and then I taught in a Catholic school, and there was another dimension to the R. It was reading, writing, religion. And now that I'm an elder in our community, I have a different sense of the 3 R's. Relationship, responsibility and respect. And when we maintain strong, healthy relationships in all spheres of our lives, we attain peace of mind. Responsibility is the ability to respond. Responsible people can be trusted, and this benefits both the person and the people counting on the responsible person. And respect. At the heart of respect is caring. In simple words, respect is caring how words and actions may impact others. So they're my 3 R's going into the future, and I would like to welcome you to Wiradjuri country. We are all glad that you are here. Welcome.
Thank you, Auntie Sue Bolger. Beautiful words there. I love how she said the 3 R's and how one of them was only an R when she was learning at school. Last night we had a award ceremony for the the Citizen Awards of the Snowy Valley Councils, and I did a definition for people of what the acronyms were. I don't know about you, but there are far too many acronyms in this world. Do you even know what an acronym is? It's a big word in itself. An acronym is a shortened word. So we have lots of acronyms in my run sheet, and for your benefit, MP. Who knows what an MP is?
It's me.
No, not Marty Pennell. No. An MP is a Member of Parliament. I feel that we need to learn these things, guys, because everything is getting shortened. Not all of us know what they mean, and it's nice to know who you're addressing. MLC. Who knows what MLC is? This was a tough one. Anybody want to say? No, because who knows what acronyms are? MLC is a member of the Legislative Council. That's a big word in itself too. And we have a couple of those here today. We had other acronyms, and I'm sure you will hear them. Some really doozies that got me were sports awards, but we'll get to that one later. Our Australia Day awards were a lot of fun. We had 22 nominations received, and that's incredible, across all categories. The 4 categories that we had nominations for were for Citizen of the Year, Sports Team of the Year, Sports Person of the Year, and what was the 4th one? Citizen of the Year. Did I already say that?
The big one.
The big one, yeah, Citizen of the Year. Community Service, a service award. So I'm going to tell you about the winners of those awards, starting with the winner for the service of community. Now, not all of our winners are here because Snowy Valley Council is a very large geographical boundary, and they all came to our award night last night. So I'll just start with Jen Vinge was our winner for service to the community, and I'll tell you a little bit about Jen. Members of the Gingelic community would like to nominate Jen Vinge for the service of community. Jen Vinge is the go-to person for Gingelic. Her contribution to her community is tireless. Soon after moving to the community, she became actively involved in the former Gingelic show. I'm going to say Gingelic a lot here, and this is one instance where I'd probably hope there was an acronym for it, so I could just say Ginny from Gingelic, but I'll keep going. Gingelic, if you don't know where it is north of Tumbarumba towards the border of Victoria. And during the bushfires, it was a difficult time, something that she chose to help navigate and look after. So she was instrumental in also the redevelopment of the Gingelic showgrounds and has done thousands of volunteer hours building a new pavilion up there, upgrading power, water and other amenities, and painting of the older buildings. She's also Gingelic Hub support for Rural Bushfire Brigade. They nominated her for service to the community. Since moving to Gingelic 9 years ago, she's been a tireless member of the Bushfire Brigade. Soon after arriving, she became an active member and the first female firefighter for the brigade. In 2019-20 summer bushfires, Jen assisted with establishing and coordinating the Gingelic Emergency Welfare Centre for 3 weeks, 24 hours a day, in addition to defending her own property, which was burnt out during the 3 weeks. She assisted with providing up to 400 meals a day on and off-site, emergency accommodation, first aid, emergency evacuation, staging point, a media centre, community meetings, showers and hygiene, a hub for all emergency services. coordination of evacuation, coordination of placing vulnerable residents into alternative accommodation, and numerous other ad hoc activities. During the recovery, Jen initiated single-handedly Blaze Aid Camp, which saw over 300 volunteers undertake many kilometres of clearing and replacement of fences. Jen organised accommodation for the coordinators, camping arrangements, food and other necessary resources, emergency fodder for over 100 local properties through the various charities and New South Wales Department of Primary Industries. Jen would be seen daily, driving the tractor and unloading or loading hay, ensuring every property was providing with emergency fodder. Jen was also an active member of the Gingillic Recovery Committee, offering any assistance required. She's Treasurer and Secretary of the Bushfire Brigade, and she's kept members informed of the many changes taking place because of the Black Summer bushfires. She coordinates training, truck rosters, spending many hours texting and contacting members to remind them of their responsibilities. Jen has a great way of working with people. Her approach is friendly and her humour is always welcome, particularly during difficult times. Her dedication and commitment to the Gingillic community is endless. So let's give a round of applause for Jen Vinge, for winner of Service to the Community. Our second award was for Sportsperson of the Year, and this person had to fly in and fly out because they are doing incredibly well with their sport. The winner for the Sportsperson of the Year was Piper Duck. Piper is an Australian Wallaroo who competed at the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand in 2022. Tumut's first capped Wallaroo. Isn't that amazing? Piper is a player of national interest in the Australian Rugby Sevens and represented Australia in Los Angeles and San Diego in March 22. Piper is also a New South Wales Waratah and played in the Super W competition in 2022. I think that's Super Women's. Does that sound right? Another one of those acronyms. Piper is an extremely humble young lady who gives back to her community. When she was home during COVID, she helped with training sessions for the Bull Ants and helped the sports rugby at Macaulay Catholic School. She also donated a jumper to the Bull Ants to auction, which raised $1,500 for charity. She will also be presenting awards to the Macaulay Catholic School 2022 presentation night, which she did, and she has an inaugural medal named after her. The medal is awarded to the female rugby player who has excelled on the field by showing commitment, courage, discipline and self-belief whilst remaining humble and displaying good sportsmanship. This award is a true reflection of Piper. Let's give a round of applause for Piper Duck, Sportsperson of the Year. Our third category was for Sports Team of the Year. I'm not sure if we have any of those team members here today, but if they are, I'd love it for them to stand up. The winner of the Sports Team of the Year is Franklin Public Schools girls basketball team. They had 2 nominations and I can't wait to tell you the story. The Franklin Public girls basketball team were the New South Wales PSSA State Knockout Champions for 2022. Now this is an incredible feat considering 218 schools across New South Wales competed this year. I think they had a backlog from COVID. Anyway, an achievement the school has made previously with the boys team but never the girls. These girls demonstrate the very definition of what it is to be a team player. They never took a backwards even when facing defeat and would pull out to the win. They were not only fantastic athletes but brilliant ambassadors for their school and our wider community. The team consisted of the following students: Aliana Roddy, Sophie Jones, Ellie Cobden, Jaylee Byrne, Vicky Doon, Alice Shepherd, Macy Appleby and Ella Appleby. The amazing group of girls in Year 5 and 6 competed against schools in our area. After winning all games, Franklin travelled to Leeton to play for the Riverina title. Franklin defeated Parkview Primary of Leeton 44-36 in a thrilling game which they came from behind to win. Their next trip was to Penrith to represent the Riverina at the New South Wales PSA State Championships. And at this stage, Franklin was placed in the top 8 in New South Wales. First game was against West Wyalong and the girls had a convincing win of 49-23, which they then placed them in the top 4. Second game against Sydney West, Franklin came out winners 40-29, putting them into the grand final against Thorley West Public, who are the Sydney North champs. The grand final was the girls' third game of the day. Even being tired, it did not stop the determination of these girls, throwing everything they had into the finals against very tall opposition. The score was up and down till the end, and the little country school took out the title 56-48. Over 300 schools took part, and Franklin Public School girls basketball team are now number 1 in New South Wales. Congratulations, Franklin Public Girls School team. Do we have any of the girls here today? A lot of them were there last night, so it was a late night. They might not be here. Our final award was for Citizen of the Year. And our Citizen of the Year for Snowy Valley Council this year is Thomas Moss. Thomas Moss lives in Cancoban. He has volunteered more than 30 hours per week to the following organisations which support the local community, including the Murray Border Association of Vietnam Veterans, Legacy as a regional coordinator. He supported up to 17 war widows and their families for greater than 25 years. Tom organised and led annual legatee camps for the legatee children for 10 years. He works at the Cancoban Golf Course, volunteering his time to care and for the maintenance of the golf course, fairways and greens, and the machinery for greater than 20 years. And he's a Justice of the Peace. He's also a community driver. He's a very valuable resource to the township. He has served time in the Australian Defence Force for 6 years during the Vietnam War. He's also provided community disaster relief and emergency engineering construction support for many times throughout his life. On leaving the Defence Force, Tom was employed by the Snowy Mountains Hydroelectric Scheme as a plumber supporting the bustling scheme construction township of Cancoban. He was subsequently promoted to the Township Maintenance Manager position at Cabramurra, and during this period he was involved with Legacy and helping the 17 war widows. Continuing to actively support and implement the Legacy's volunteer program, and the Cancoban Golf Course, the Tumbarumba Shire Council, and many other groups. Cancoban increasingly relies upon volunteers for the town's survival. It is without people like Thomas Moss that make this community what it is. He continues to volunteer to this day, and at 78 years of age, Tom remains a tireless and relentless volunteer in his support of all of those causes. Tom is committed wholeheartedly to the community and selflessly prioritises others in need of himself. Congratulations to Thomas Moss, Citizen of the Year from Cancoban. So it's unfortunate that they're not here today, but you will see photos of them on the Snowy Valley Council website of who the winners were. And if you do bump into them, make sure you go up and shake their hand, because they're the people who were nominated by people like yourselves doing great things in our community. And you never know, one day it could be one of you that's being nominated or receiving an award because you've seen other good works that other people have done. I'd now like to introduce our ambassador for Australia Day, Mr. Bruce Elder. Now, Bruce came to the dinner last night, and I've just got a great little blurb to tell you about Bruce. He's written over 60 books. He's told me that it's all false, and some of it is, but I'll just read it anyway. He's an award-winning journalist. He's worked at both freelance and full-time employee of the Sydney Morning Herald for 25 years. He's also worked for the ABC as a regular contributor, as a correspondent, and he's written a book on the study of the massacres and maltreatment of Australian Aborigines titled Blood on the Wattle, which was praised at the time as arguably the best book ever written about Aboriginals by a white writer. It has remained in print since 1988, and it's now in its 3rd edition. It's been reprinted 10 times. The Sydney Morning Herald Age in 2000, it was nominated as one of the 10 most influential works of non-fiction published in Australia in the 20th century. Currently, Bruce has his own website. He's been working on something a little bit different. He's a bit of a traveller, He's been to many places, many places, and his website is called aussietowns.com.au. He has actually visited over 1,350 towns around Australia. So I think he's seen a lot of Australia. There's this one little point that really grabbed me last night, and please don't hate him for being this, but for 25 years, Bruce has been the Australian editor of the Trivial Pursuit. So I think that he has some answers to give us. What do you think? Has anyone ever played a game of Trivial Pursuit? Put your hand up if you've played Trivial Pursuit. Who's hopeless at Trivial Pursuit? Yeah, maybe we need to blame him for making the questions so hard. Do you think we should put him on the spot and ask him a question or two? Do you think it's only fair? Do you think it's Australian to put somebody on the spot? I think it is. Let's do it. He's also been to like 1,350 towns. I don't know how he's still alive. Like, seriously, how do you do that many and keep going? That's incredible. I've got these questions for you. In which state, are you listening, Bruce?
Oh, I'm supposed
Yeah, you better listen.
Right, yeah.
In which state is Australia's deepest lake, St Clair?
I haven't got a clue.
Oh, he doesn't even know the answers. Anyone out there know that answer to that question? Have we got a trivia buff? Which state? Tasmania. There we go. There's some trivia for you today.
I did know, but I wasn't gonna...
Which is bigger, Kangaroo Island or Fraser Island? Shout it out if you know the answer.
Kangaroo Island by a mile.
He said Kangaroo Island. He's right. He got that one right. We'll give him one more go and then we'll get him up here to speak for us. In area, which is Australia's third largest state? Now, actually, I should ask all the citizens this. Have you done your homework? Have you had a look at the map of Australia? Having a look at the map of Australia, which one is the largest state?
Third largest.
Third largest. That's a tricky one. I've made it extra hard. Which one is the third largest? Any answers?
No, South Australia.
South Australia is the answer.
You were dysfunctional.
And he actually told me the answer, so I think he knows what he's talking about. Let's get Bruce Elder up to come and be our ambassador for Australia Day.
All right.
Good job. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michelle. I would like to start by the traditional variation of the welcome, of acknowledging the traditional owners, the Wiradjuri people. And this year, and with Sue's approval, I particularly want to say a big, loud shout out to that most remarkable of local people, Neil Bolger. What a wonderful human being. Neil really was just an exceptional human being. He really should have been Australia Day or Citizen of the Year, year after year after year. He worked tirelessly for his local community. And I was very touched. My brother was very close friends with him, and he actually came down to Tumut all the way from the Central Coast for Neil's funeral. So that's very touching. Now, normally, I just give a general talk about Australia Day and about the importance of Australia Day, but today I'm going to focus particularly on those people who are going to become citizens. I should point out that I've been doing this for 25 years, and that part of the reason that I'm doing it is that I grew up in Tumut, so I love the place. And I love coming back here, and I learn something new every time I do come back here. But what I want to tell you is, citizens, or future citizens, you don't realise it, but Tumut was one of the very, very first of what we would now call a multicultural regional town. In the 1950s, there was nobody, well, there was almost nobody here apart from either Anglo-Saxons, Scots and Irish, with three notable exceptions. And I was saying to May Doon, this morning. One of the exceptions were the Chinese, the Doon family, and there were a few other Chinese in town. Secondly, there were the Greeks that ran the cafes. And thirdly, there was a wonderful Lebanese family who were named Moses but now are known to the local community as Manning. Then, and I'm pretty sure of the exact time, in 1956, our absolutely Anglo class suddenly had a little German boy with lederhosen, and his name was Horst Niemann, and the teacher, Lance Giddings, got me outside to try and teach him English, which he did in a very, very slow way, but slowly but surely over the next decade, Tumut genuinely became a multicultural town. We referred to the people, of course, as migrants. Multicultural didn't even exist. And the symbol that I use, which I think tells you everything you need to know about Tumut, is that my brother had a teacher called Miss Witherby. And Miss Witherby ended up marrying Johnny Markovics. So suddenly the Anglo was connected to a Latvian. And interestingly enough, their children now grown as adults live on the Central Coast, and they've got the blondest Latvian hair you've ever seen. So that's one thing that I think is really important. We have a long tradition of being a multicultural community, and so therefore I hope you are welcomed within this community in a very genuine and real way. I am absolutely overwhelmed that there are 35 people here. The first year that I was an Australia Day ambassador, which was 1996, I was in Cogra and there were 60 people there. And what of course I didn't know was that there was a Chinese Christian church, and about 40 of them were Chinese people who come and were regular attenders at the local church. The next year I went to Crookwell, and I said to the lady at Crookwell, I said, "Do you have a citizenship ceremony here?" And she said, "No, I'm afraid we haven't got any citizens at all." And she said, "Oh, but we had one last year." And I said, "Oh wow, you had one. Who was that?" And she said, "It was me." She said, "I came over from New Zealand 35 years ago and married a grazier, and I decided that if I was going to run Australia Day, maybe I should become an Australian." And since then, I've had a few people, but never a lot. And this is, after Cogra, the most people for a citizenship ceremony that I've ever come across. I've got a message for everybody here, and I think it's a really important message. You can be very casual about this, and I think Australians are. I think we go, "Oh yeah, well they're becoming Australian citizens, good luck to them." What I think we forget is just what a huge step this really is. My wife made the decision to become an Australia Day citizen about 15 years ago, and I was very casual about it. I said, "Oh yeah, that's fine, it's a good idea." Then I realised, or she told me later, she said, "You don't know what a huge step it really is." And she made the very simple point. She said, "You can go back to Tumut and you can walk to him, or May Doon, and say hello to her, and this is part of your entire life. I can't do that. I've left my country." And in that sense of leaving your country, you leave a little bit of your childhood behind, and you're not going to be able to pull it back. So everybody, those people who are becoming citizens and those people who are here to support those people, recognise that this is a huge step and a very, very brave step. I guess as a final thing, I love Australia Day, I think probably, almost certainly, we're going to change it. But the thing that should remain is what we did last night and what we do today. I rejoice in the fact that ordinary people like me, and in spite of Michelle's exaggerated claims, very ordinary people like me, and ordinary people like those people who win citizenship awards are celebrated. These are not people who get an Order of Australia or an Australian medal. They are, as I keep saying, the glue that holds local communities together. They're the good people, and they need to be recognised and they need to be acknowledged. They don't seek for that acknowledgement, but it is wonderful to be able to say to them, thank you, you have done an amazing job. I always think of May handing out fried rice to people who weren't well. She's a classic example of a great Australian citizen, quietly doing it, not expecting praise, but actually being rewarded and acknowledged. So that to me is what Australia Day is about. I'm really looking forward to observing, hopefully, everybody becoming an Australia Day citizen, but as it would happen, if you see me sneaking out at about 11:15, I've got Adelong at 11 o'clock, and then I'm off to Talbingo at 5 o'clock. And Batlow last night. I've only ever done 4 towns in one hot, and this is the second time. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bruce. We do appreciate your time here today and last night, and his words ring very true to what it means to be an Australian citizen. So without further ado, I would now like to invite Deputy Mayor Trina Thompson to formally welcome all new residents to the Snowy Valley region, and she will be conducting the citizenship ceremony. Here we go.
Oh, I'm just wondering, can we get the flags over here so people don't have to stand all the way over there?
We've got 35 of them.
I'm not doing them all at once. Murrunaran. It's about as far as I can go in actually speaking in Wiradjuri, but it's something that I do out of absolute respect and recognition and acknowledgement of our first traditional custodians of the land on which this is being held today. And I think what's so incredibly important is the fact that, you know, we talk about being part of the longest continuous living culture on the planet. And I sometimes wonder, do we really understand what that means? And I heard it put very eloquently one day when there was a beautiful First Nations lady speaking about the recognition of our First Nations people in the Constitution. And she said, we're not asking to be different. Our culture and our people are like a rope. And each time we get a new citizen, it's like adding another thread to that rope. And the more threads that we have, the stronger the rope becomes. And so today, each and every one of you are going to be strengthening that rope that connects us to our traditional custodians. And we all work together and walk together. We respect each other. And I think, as Auntie Sue acknowledged, the 3 R's, but I believe there's a 4th R, and that is R for recognition. And today I think that what we're doing here to be a part of a citizenship ceremony is actually recognising the value and the importance that we place on being Australian citizens. Some of us may take a little bit of it for granted, but I can tell you, if our new citizens are sitting there thinking they're just a little bit nervous about what's to happen, let me tell you, it's nothing compared to how I'm feeling. I spent my night dreaming about the pronunciation of some of these names. And I apologise in advance if I get it wrong, because each and every one of you is incredibly special. So if you get my name wrong, that's okay. You want to put a P in Thompson, I will forgive you. So without any further ado, so that we get it completely right, I would just also like to acknowledge the other people who are sitting around here with me today. And we have Wes Fang, Mick Veitch, Auntie Sue Bolger, and of course the magnificent and brilliant Bruce Elder. What more can we say? We're incredibly lucky and we thank them for taking the time to be here and to be part of such an incredibly special event. 35 new citizens for our community, and it's absolutely amazing. So thank you for deciding to become Australian citizens. Today you join a nation that is one of the world's most successful multicultural societies, with around half of all Australians either born overseas or with at least one parent who was born overseas. In Australia, everyone can be proud of who they are, and everyone should be respected, valued, and feel a sense of belonging. We are privileged to share the beautiful country with the world's oldest continuing culture. This is a fundamental part of who we are. For more than 60,000 years, First Nations people have cared for country, appreciating and understanding the truth. It is a vital part of what it means to be Australian. Australians are united by our shared commitment to democracy and the rule of law, the freedom of speech, religion and association. Our diversity is actually our greatest strength, and we prosper by embracing this. We believe in a society in which everyone is equal, regardless of their gender, faith, sexual orientation, age, ability, race, national or ethnic origin. Ours is the land of the fair go, in which we respect, compassion underpin our care for each other and our willingness to reach out to those around us in times of need. By becoming an Australian citizen, you make a commitment to these values and to contribute to our evolving Australian story. On behalf of the Australian Government, heartfelt congratulations on becoming an Australian citizen, and as that is by the Honourable Andrew Giles MP. I think we have some little speeches from our special guests. So do we want to start from my right? Wes, would you like to speak first?
Settle in, it's been about 3 hours. Well, thank you. And I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Also acknowledge the other special guests, the Deputy Mayor, the Ambassador, but particularly I'd like to acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, the Honourable Mick Veitch. And for those who don't know, Mick and I sit on opposite sides of the aisle in the Legislative Council, which is the part that Michelle talked to you before about, which is member of the Legislative Council. That's the upper house in the New South Wales Parliament. And while we might differ in some of our politics, there's no doubt that Mick and I have a shared bond, which is we are both sons of regional New South Wales. And I think in particular, in welcoming the new citizens that will be joining our state today, I acknowledge that multiculturalism is a huge part of what New South Wales is, and I am part of that multiculturalism. My father was an immigrant, and I'm a first-generation Australian, born in Wagga, but I always acknowledge that I have those shared experiences of my father's Asian heritage and my mother's growing up on a sheep and wheat farm in West Wyalong. So I welcome you, and I'm so pleased to see what you will bring to our communities, the experiences and the knowledge that you'll be able to share with the communities of the Snowy Valleys Council. And I thank you for choosing to become Australian citizens and welcome you to our state, our wonderful state of New South Wales. So thank you.
The problem with following Wes is I've got to adjust this. That's okay, thank you. I too would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and associate myself with the Welcome to Country. Wes and I do a lot of these functions across Australia, across New South Wales. Can I just say, Welcome to Country by Auntie Sue has got to be one of the best you will hear or see anywhere in New South Wales. It's always a wonderful thing. Can I also say, Australia Day Stockwell Gardens, and whoever decided to change the seating has done a great job, provides a new perspective for everyone. I'll be keen to see what the survey says afterwards as to whether or not you want to revert back to the previous seating arrangements or you like these seating arrangements, but sort of has a bit of an amphitheatre about it today. Can I also say, there's a couple of things. Welcome to the new citizens. I know there's people talk about the number of them. Again, I do Australia Day in Country New South Wales. This is the largest number. I'm like Bruce. Yeah. For me, this is the largest number at any one time. So congratulations and well done to everyone, but well done to Tumut. And can I just say, you know, the community of Tumut is a great community, and you're becoming a part of that. Although a few of you have been here for a while, contributing to our wonderful community. One of the great things about Tumut and this part of New South Wales, the Snowy Valley, so Adlong and Talbingo and Cancoban, Tumba, Batley, one of the great things is the sense of community and the strength of that community fabric that we have. And you will all, you know, weave in as a part of that, your own part of that fabric. And I'd like to wrap up by saying this. The awards we've just heard today, the Citizen of the Year, the Service Award, the Sports Team, the Sports Person of the Year, those awards are announced off the back of someone taking the time to nominate. The Australia Day Awards that you see in today's paper or watching tonight's news, they come about because someone took the time to nominate someone. They just don't happen. We actually need some people to put in, to acknowledge that someone's doing a great job and then nominate them. So can I just say, going forward, if you think there's someone that missed out today on one of those awards and you think they deserve something, just take the half an hour to put together a nomination and nominate them, because that acknowledges how good this community is, and it acknowledges how good those people were in making sure the fabric of the community we live in is as strong as it possibly can be. Have a great Australia Day and welcome to the new citizens.
Thank you, Wes, and thank you, Mick. We now come to probably, for us today, the pivotal point of what we're all here for, and that is for the citizenship. Now, I'm going to make it a little bit different because we have 35 people. This is your day, and it's important that you feel that you are being treated individually and with respect in your citizenship. So I don't want to do one big mass 35, let's stand up and walk into the water and dunk down. And so I want to make you feel that this is your day. And if it takes just that little bit longer, then it's worth it, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you to be recognised as new Australian citizens and to declare your commitment to this Australia. Having said that, I do have it broken down in family groups, but if you are here with friends that you would like to do your citizenship with those friends, please feel free. But in the first instance, what we're going to do is I will do the preamble, so we will do the beginning of the citizenship in one. It will be the pledge that you will do as individual groups or family groups or with friends as you'd like to do it. So if you have any questions, we'll actually get started. Welcome. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia. The Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights, but they also undertake to accept these obligations by pledging a loyalty to Australia and its people, and by sharing their democratic beliefs, and by respecting the rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. Can I just please call on, and as I said, I do apologise if I don't pronounce it correctly, I'm quite happy to be So Deca Rose Anderson and also Candice Torres. You get to be our first citizens for 2023. Oh my Lord, 2023. So I'll just get you to stand in front of, and you're doing the pledge too. So if you can repeat with me. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Could you take your seat? Thank you. See how easy it is. Now, so for the rest of you, pressure's off. It's really that easy. Can I now please invite Judith Muglinter and also Honey Muglinter up to the front. Welcome, ladies. And the same one, actually you can probably read it with me because you have the card there. And if you'd like to take it, I'm just looking, there's a gentleman here, if you come round to the front, this is really important, this is your day. So please don't feel embarrassed about wanting to take it, just don't get in front of the professional photographer. The Australian Citizenship Pledge 2. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will and obey.
Now we have David Hooper and Sidelma Alvis, and I'm wondering if you two would mind doing it together, or do you want to do it separately? Separately? Together? Separately? You're on your own, baby.
Yeah, all good.
Pledge 2, and I reckon that you could probably read this without following me.
Yeah, I reckon.
So we'll read it together.
Right up.
Beautiful. From this time forward.
From this time forward.
No, read it. Beautiful. Ready? Go. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
Loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Oh, it's getting closer to... Thank you.
Thank you.
Mention what country they've come from.
I've got a little birdie in my ear behind me who's just told me I really should be telling you the countries that these beautiful new Australians are coming from. So in the first instance we had Deca Rose and Candice, and they were from the Philippines, as were Judith and Honey, also from the Philippines. David was from Great Britain, so that's why I didn't have a huge amount of difficulty in pronouncing his name. And now we have Sidelma Alves. And Sidelma is from Brazil. Yes. So, Pledge 2. And we will read it together.
Oh, okay.
Okay. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia, its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Beautiful. Thank you. So the next couple that we have coming up, we have Amandeep Kaur and also Panapret Singh. And they're from India. I love this. Kids get embarrassed. It's like, no. The good part is, Mum has to say this out loud. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. From this time forward under God,
From this time forward under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and
Beautiful. Thank you. And now we come to the Lotter family. We have Johannes, we have Brenda, and we have Zoe. The Lotter family are from South Africa. From this time forward under God,
This time forward under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Thank you. We now come to the Monefeld family, and we have Gendre and Rudia. And I'm hoping I'm at least getting a little bit close to some of these names, so thank you. Oh, thank you. So, see, I've got all these little people reminding me. Gendre and Rudia are actually from South Africa. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Beautiful. Thank you. We now have the Chowdhury family, and it's Mitish and Himangjin. That one I don't think was even really that close.
Just so polite.
I know. How do you pronounce it? Himangi.
We good together?
Beautiful, thank you. From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Mr. Elder, they're from India. I thought that's going to be your next book. Your 61st book will be about citizenships and the countries that these magnificent people come from. Yeah, citizenship ceremonies I have attended. We now have the Bawanovic family. So we have Shakar, Vanessa, Jasmine and Suhana, sorry. Are the Bawana Hicks here? Oh, they're entertaining the children up there. That's okay. Oh, someone's not happy. I know how they feel sometimes.
He's going to say it very loud.
Oh, do not apologise. We're all parents here. We've been there. We've done that. We wear the T-shirt with pride. Oh, my Lord. So this beautiful family is from South Africa. We have Shakar, Vanessa, Jasmine and Suhana, and it's the Bawanovic family. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you going to help Mummy and Daddy? Beautiful. Here we go. Well, we've got a moment. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Beautiful. You did so well. Thank you. And we're almost there. We now have the Ahmed family, and we have El Sayed, May, we have Abdurrahman,
Difficult.
and Omar. And they're from Egypt. So we really are doing a world travel here today, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, are we ready, boys? You can all say this even though you don't have to. From this time forward under God,
From this time forward under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose rules I will uphold and obey.
How easy was that? Thank you. We now come to Fonnie Botha and Brian Clough. And both of these lovely gentlemen are from South Africa. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Beautiful, thank you. The Durant family, we have David and Tony Lee. I was talking to David and Tony Lee earlier, and they said this has been a 5-year long journey. They have 2 sons who are both undergoing the process of becoming Australian citizens as well. So it's a really, really, really special day. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, whose laws I will obey and obey. Thank you. They're from South Africa, Mr. Elder. I've got these little consciences sitting behind me. Our next new citizen is from the Solomon Islands, and Judith Suter has travelled down from Tumbarumba this morning to be a part of today. I'm just thinking of the amazing culture that we're adding the threads to this beautiful rope of continuous culture, and it's quite amazing. Are you ready? Thanks, Judith. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you. The next is a young gentleman that I've known for many years, and Thomas, this is a great privilege for me to be able to do this for you today. It's Thomas Ferreira, and Thomas is from South Africa. Yeah, go. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. This is another lady I've known for many years, Suzanne Mail. Suzanne is actually from Germany. And I know you've got a very proud family out there watching and waiting for this to happen. It's been a long time coming. Ready, go. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Our next newest Australian citizen to be is from Zimbabwe, and it's Treasure Maddie Kurusha. And I don't even know if I got that right, but... So is Tadenda your daughter?
She's my friend's daughter.
She's your friend's daughter. That's okay. Well, we will stand you separately and do this. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you. And Tadenda? Tadenda Mawadi is also from Zimbabwe. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Shahoko Oakes. I have forgotten one. We have somebody sitting there who's going, I haven't had my name read out. I apologise. Shahoka. From this time forward, under God,
From this time forward, under God,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose democratic beliefs I share,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
whose rights and liberties I respect,
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Thank you. Shahoko is actually from Japan, Bruce. Christine Mendez. Dr. Christine Mendez. You thought I forgot you. Just before we ask, is there anyone else who's sitting there going, see, you are so special that I have left you to last. And I do apologise. I've been so worried about pronouncing the names. It's like,
I understand.
thank you. Read with me.
Yeah.
From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you. And Mr. Elder, Christine is actually from Canada.
Oh!
Thank you for indulging us in allowing people to read their pledges as individuals. And it's part of what Australian citizenship is all about. It's about you still remaining an individual with an identity and not just being one of the crowd. I welcome you as citizens of Australia. As a citizen, you are now formally identified with this country, its people and its governments. You have made a pledge of commitment to Australia and its people and have been provided with a memento card to mark the occasion of that commitment. The basic right of Australian citizen is equality before the law. Citizenship is open to all Australian permanent residents who satisfy the requirements of the Australian Citizenship Act, as you have done. Now that you are citizens, there is no difference between you and other citizens concerning your rights, privileges and responsibilities. Australia gives all its people the chance to live and grow in liberty and to share in the common good. In return, we owe Australia our duty as good neighbours and good citizens. Our future success as Australians depends on the way we work together. And this act of law is now completed, and on behalf of all Australians, I congratulate you. I hope you have a very happy and successful future as Australian citizens of Australia. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and thank you for choosing Australia. And Auntie Sue, we now have a whole host of new Australians adding to the thread of that beautiful continuous rope. So thank you. Now we have to present you with your certificate, so we are going to get everybody up at one go. This is going to be really interesting. So we're asking everybody to come on up, and I'm going to invite Wes Fang and Mick Veach. I almost went Vic Meach. Mick Veach, MLCs, Bruce Elder and also Auntie Sue Bolger to assist with the presentation of gifts and certificates to all of our brand new citizens.